The night I lost him, the moon hung low and heavy, like it was mourning with me. Its silver light spilled across the forest floor, turning the trees into shadowy giants that whispered secrets I wasn't ready to hear. Every rustle of leaves, every crack of a branch, made my pulse spike not with fear, exactly, but with something deeper. A tension I couldn't shake. I had always known life with the pack wouldn't be ordinary. Being a Luna meant more than just a title. It meant carrying a responsibility that stretched across generations, a duty to protect, to lead, to endure. And yet, even with all that weight, I had thought my heart could find a place beside him. Kale, my alpha. The one who had captured my trust, my loyalty, my very soul. But that night, all of it shattered. I remember standing on the cliff above the river, the wind whipping my hair into a tangled mess. My hands pressed against the cold stone as I tried to anchor myself. The moonlight revealed the truth too clearly. Kale was walking away, his back to me, every step echoing like a verdict. He didn't look back, not once. Not even a flicker of doubt in his amber eyes. The pack had whispered warnings for weeks, but I had ignored them. Fate had warned me too. Yet somehow I thought our bond could resist the tide of betrayal. I had been wrong. The forest around me seemed to mourn in sympathy. Shadows twisted unnaturally, as if they knew what my heart was feeling. I felt every branch scrape my skin, every whisper of wind press against me like a secret accusing my failure. Even the river, normally a gentle companion, roared with sudden fury below, as if echoing the turmoil inside me. And yet, amid the pain, there was something that refused to die. Hope. A tiny, stubborn spark. Maybe it was foolish. Maybe it was dangerous. But it whispered to me, as soft and insistent as the night wind, that Kale hadn't forgotten me. That our bond ancient, unbreakable, and entirely forbidden by those who would control our destinies, wasn't finished. The first hint of the supernatural came not with a growl or a flash of fangs, but with a sensation in my bones, a pull toward him that defied reason. Even standing on the edge of despair, I felt it. The magnetic draw of our bond, the connection only Luna and Alpha could share. It was more than attraction. It was destiny clawing at me, demanding I follow it, even if it meant stepping into danger. I moved through the forest cautiously, aware that every rustle could be an enemy or a warning. There were eyes in the dark, eyes that didn't belong to ordinary animals. The pack had always told me stories of rogue werewolves, creatures who wandered between worlds, dangerous and unbound. I had laughed at them once, thinking such things existed only in legend. But now the stories felt real. Every snapping twig, every shadow shifting too quickly, reminded me that the forest was alive in ways I had barely understood. And then I heard it. The sound that made my chest tighten so much I could barely breathe. A low, resonant howl carried on the wind. It wasn't far, and it wasn't a warning. It was him, Kale. The sound of his voice, even in wolf form, struck something raw inside me. It was a reminder of everything I had lost and everything I couldn't yet let go. My legs moved before my mind could protest, carrying me deeper into the darkness, following a path I didn't fully understand but couldn't resist. Every step brought a flood of memories, his laughter echoing through the trees, the gentle way he had touched my arm when he thought no one was looking, the way his eyes had held mine like they belonged there. And yet, behind those memories, there was fear. Fear that I wasn't ready for what awaited me, that Kale might reject me entirely, that destiny had another cruel trick waiting. I paused at the edge of a clearing, the moonlight spilling over a patch of mist that hovered like a ghost. There he was standing still, his massive frame tense, head lifted, ears twitching at the slightest sound. Even from a distance, I could feel the raw power radiating from him. The unspoken authority of an alpha who carried the weight of his pack and the shadow of our past. My chest tightened again, not with fear, but with longing so intense it hurt, and then the whispers began. Faint at first, almost too soft to notice, carried on the wind. Words I couldn't understand, yet somehow felt in my very soul. They spoke of choices of love forbidden and reclaimed, of danger I couldn't yet see. I didn't know if the voices were a warning or a call, but I knew one thing for certain. I couldn't turn back. Not now, not ever. Something in me had awakened under that blood-red moon, a determination that defied fate itself. I was the Luna. I would rise, and I would find my Alpha again, no matter the cost. I stepped forward. The shadows seemed to shift around me, watching, waiting, and the air grew electric with anticipation. Whatever was coming next, I was ready, or at least, I hoped I was. Because the night had only just begun, and the forest, with all its secrets, had a story to tell. A story in which I would either reclaim my destiny or lose everything forever. The forest seemed to hold its breath as I stepped into the clearing, the mist curling around my legs like ghostly fingers. Cale's figure was still there, taut and alert, every muscle coiled with purpose. Even at a distance, I could feel the tension radiating from him. A force as strong and dangerous as the Alpha he had always been. I froze, caught between fear and the pull of something I couldn't stand, didn't want to resist. He turned suddenly, as if he sensed me before I made a sound. Our eyes met, and I felt it immediately. The bond. It hadn't weakened despite the weeks of silence, despite the betrayal that had cut through both our hearts. It was raw and alive, a thread of destiny pulling tighter with every second we held each other's gaze. My pulse quickened, my breaths shallow. As if the forest itself had conspired to trap us in this moment. "You shouldn't be here," Cale said, his voice steady but heavy with unspoken emotion. His eyes, glowing faintly under the moonlight, studied me like he was trying to read the truth from my soul. Not after everything that happened. I swallowed hard. The words I wanted to say caught in my throat. I had to come, I finally whispered, my voice trembling despite my effort to sound strong. "I can't just stay away." He hesitated, and for the first time in weeks I saw doubt flicker across his face. It was fleeting, but it was there. The distance between us seemed impossible, yet impossibly small. One step closer, and I could feel the heat of his presence. The unshakable strength of his aura that had always drawn me to him, that had made me forget fear when we were together before. But there was danger here, something beyond the emotional storm swirling between us. I sensed it in the shadows, in the subtle shifts of the mist around us. The rogue pack that had been moving closer to our territory was here, watching, waiting. Their presence was a whisper on the wind, a threat neither of us could ignore. The forest had always been alive, but tonight it felt like a living warning. A chorus of unseen eyes reminding me that I was walking a fine line between love and peril. Cale's expression hardened. Alpha instincts kicking in. "We can't be careless," he said. "They've been tracking us. They know about the bond. They'll try to use it against us." I clenched my fists, anger and fear tangled in equal measure. "Then let's be ready," I said. "We can't hide from them. Not if this is our second chance. Not if we're meant to be together." The words surprised even me. I had always feared saying them aloud, fearing rejection. Fearing that Cale might have moved on, feared that fate had already decided for us. But the bond throbbed stronger now, almost as if it had been waiting for me to claim it openly. He took a step closer, the space between us shrinking, the tension sharp and almost tangible. I could feel the energy of the wolf within him, restrained yet coiled, a force of nature waiting to be unleashed. "This isn't just about us," Cale said softly, almost a growl beneath his words. "If they strike, the pack suffers. If we fail." His voice trailed off, but the meaning was clear. Failure wasn't an option. Not for me, not for him, not for anyone we cared about. I nodded, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. The bond pulsed beneath my skin, making it impossible to doubt my choice. Whatever danger lay ahead, I was ready to face it, ready to step into the unknown, ready to reclaim what we had lost. But even as I braced myself, I realized how much we still didn't know the rogue pack, their strength, their intentions. And yet the fear didn't drive me back. It propelled me forward, toward him, toward the destiny we had defied once and had the chance to claim again. The forest whispered again, the wind shifting in strange, sudden gusts that made the trees sway violently. Something was moving just beyond the edge of the clearing, something fast, silent, and intent. I couldn't see it clearly, but I could sense its eyes on me, on Cale, on the fragile thread of our bond. The danger was closer than we thought, and with it came a test neither of us could refuse. Cale's hand twitched, as if reaching for me, though he stopped himself. I felt the longing in that gesture, the unspoken acknowledgement of everything we had lost and everything we still might reclaim. "Stay close," he murmured, and for a heartbeat, the world seemed to shrink to just the two of us, surrounded by shadows, threatened by forces we didn't fully understand, yet tethered together by a connection that neither time nor betrayal could sever. And then, just as quickly, the sound came, a low, guttural growl, distant but unnerving. The rogue pack was here, watching, waiting, and I knew that the fragile truce between our hearts, and the dangerous bond we were rediscovering, was about to be tested in ways neither of us could have predicted. I took a deep breath, the cold night air filling my lungs. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from anticipation. This was only the beginning. Fate had thrown down its challenge, and I had no choice but to face it alongside Cale, my alpha, my mate, my second chance. Whatever happened next, the night would not forget it, and neither would we. The forest had never felt so alive, so dangerous, so impossibly close. Every rustle of leaves, every shadow, every distant howl sent my heart hammering in my chest. I stayed close to Cale, matching his pace, though the bond between us pulsed stronger than ever, an invisible tether pulling together even as the world threatened to tear us apart. We reached a small clearing where the moonlight poured in like liquid silver, illuminating the mist hovering over the ground. Cale's eyes scanned the perimeter, sharp and calculating. The rogue pack had been clever, moving silently, leaving no obvious trail, but instinct told him they were close. And instinct had rarely lied. "Stay here," he said, his voice low and commanding. "I need to check something, Cale." I protested, my hands itching to reach for him. But he shook his head. There was no arguing with the alpha now, not when every second counted. "I can't," I whispered, though part of me thrilled at the thought of proving I could handle danger alongside him. He hesitated for the briefest moment, the amber glow of his eyes softening. "I know you can, but you need to wait. Trust me." Reluctantly, I nodded, my chest tight. Even as I stayed put, the tension between us thrummed in the air. The bond pulsing like a heartbeat I could feel in my very bones. I wanted to step forward to close the distance between us, but the forest had other plans. A movement caught my Aja shadow that didn't belong, something watching from the edge of the clearing. And then I saw him. Not Cale, another alpha. A stranger, but not entirely human. His presence carried authority and menace, the kind that made the hairs on my arms rise. I recognized the mark immediately. The sigil of a rival pack. One I had only heard whispered about in the darker corners of Luna lore. They were powerful, dangerous, and unrelenting. Before I could react, Cale reappeared, eyes narrowed. "We have company," he growled. And not just any company. The stranger stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with challenge. "I've been waiting," he said smoothly, his voice carrying through the clearing. "I know about your bond. I know about the Luna who thinks she can defy fate. You're mine to claim, Cale." My stomach dropped. The audacity, the arrogance. "You don't get to decide that," I snapped, stepping toward Cale instinctively. The bond flared between us like wildfire, warning me, protecting me, daring me to stay close. Cale's jaw tightened, and I felt the tension in him like a live wire. "She's not yours," he said, voice low but lethal. "She's mine, and I will not let you take her from me or from what we are meant to be." The rival alpha's smirk only widened, but the warning in Cale's tone was enough. I realized then that the danger wasn't just physical, it was personal. My heart, my loyalty, my very place in the pack was at stake. and I wasn't sure I could withstand the choice being forced upon me. Defend myself, follow Kale, or risk losing everything in a single reckless moment before I could decide. The stranger lunged not at me, but at Kale. My instincts kicked in. I dashed forward, stepping between them. The bond flared violently, almost blinding in its intensity, as Kale's protective aura washed over me. I felt his presence inside me, guiding me, telling me to stand firm. Enough. Kale barked, and the forest seemed to shiver in response. Shadows twisted, the wind howled, and the rival alpha froze, caught in the force of his authority. But even as the immediate threat paused, I knew this was only the beginning. Kale turned to me, his expression unreadable for a moment. And then something shifted: fear, regret, and an unspoken plea. "Luna," he said, stepping closer, his hand hovering near mine. "There's something you need to know. Something I should have told you before." My heart skipped. The words hung between us, heavy and dangerous. I wanted to push him, demand the truth, but I also knew it could change everything: our bond, our trust, maybe even our lives. "What is it?" I whispered, barely daring to breathe. He hesitated, amber eyes glinting in the moonlight. "The bond we share. It's not just a connection. It's a curse and a choice. You were never meant to be just mine. Someone tried to interfere with destiny, someone from my past, and now they're back. They want to take you, Luna, to claim what should never have been broken." I felt the weight of his words like a physical blow. Betrayal, danger, destiny, all colliding in the dark. The forest seemed to lean closer, listening, waiting, as if the world itself understood the moment of reckoning. I swallowed hard, fear and determination warring in my chest. Then we faced them together. Kale's gaze softened, but the tension remained electric and raw. "Together," he echoed, the bond tightening between us like a lifeline. And as the wind shifted again, carrying the distant howl of the rogue pack, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. The night had only begun. The danger was far from over. And the choice I made in the next few moments could change everything. I stepped closer to him, letting the bond guide me. Whatever fate had in store, I would meet it head-on with Kale, my alpha, my mate, my only chance at reclaiming what we had lost. The shadows shifted. The forest whispered. And I knew the impossible truth. The storm of destiny, betrayal, and forbidden love was only just arriving. The forest had never felt so alive, or so threatening. Every tree, every shadow seemed to lean closer, whispering secrets I wasn't ready to hear. Kale stood beside me, rigid with tension, amber eyes scanning every movement. I could feel the bond between us pulsing, like a living thing, fierce, unyielding, and almost painful in its intensity. But something else lingered beneath it: unease. As if the night itself was warning us that our next move would change everything. We had just moved a few steps deeper into the clearing when a sudden, unnatural chill cut through the air. I shivered, and instinctively, Kale reached out, his hand brushing mine. The connection sparked like lightning, a reminder of the bond that neither betrayal nor time could sever. Yet even as comforted as I felt by him, a part of me tensed. Something was coming, something far beyond what either of us had faced before. Before I could speak, the shadows shifted violently. From the corner of my vision, I caught a glimpse of a figure, fast, silent, almost too fluid to be real. The rogue alpha we had encountered before wasn't alone. Another presence emerged, this one darker, more menacing. A figure cloaked in black eyes, glowing faintly red, stepped into the moonlight. "You shouldn't be here," the stranger said, voice low, but carrying the weight of authority that made the air itself tremble. "The bond you share, it doesn't belong to either of you anymore. Fate has already chosen its course." My heart stuttered. Fate, that word had always haunted me, had shaped my every decision, my every hesitation. And now it threatened to tear everything from me, even the second chance I had fought to reclaim. Kale's jaw tightened. "Leave," he commanded. His voice wasn't just words. It was an alpha's warning, resonating through the forest. She's mine. No one touches her. The stranger laughed, a sound that sent chills down my spine. Not even you can protect her from the truth. With that, the figure's hand shot forward, and the world seemed to twist around us. The mist thickened, swirling in unnatural patterns, and the ground beneath my feet felt like it was slipping away. My vision blurred, and a cold, insistent voice echoed in my mind, not Kale's, not my own, but something older, deeper. You cannot escape what you were meant to be. Luna, your path was never yours to choose. I staggered back, panic clawing at me. Kale caught me, his strength grounding me even as the shadows pressed closer. What is this? I gasped, clutching at his arm. What's happening? He shook his head, amber eyes dark with frustration and fear. I don't know exactly, but it's tied to the bond. Something or someone has been manipulating us both, and now it's trying to claim you for its own purpose. My mind raced. Manipulated. Me, Kale, the bond. Everything I had believed was ours, was it a lie? Was the connection we had fought for, the trust we had rebuilt, just a shadow of someone else's plan? The stranger's laugh echoed again, closer this time. You see, Luna, the bond is not just about love. It is power. And you, the red eyes glimmered, are the key. Fear surged, but beneath it, defiance rose. I was a Luna. I had defied fate before, and I would do it again. I straightened, taking a step closer to Kale, letting the bond guide me. Then we face it. Together? I said, my voice steady despite the terror curling in my chest. Kale's eyes softened for just a moment. A flicker of relief breaking through his fierce expression. Together, he echoed, and the bond pulsed stronger than ever, almost as if it were ready to fight with us. But then the figure raised its hand, and everything changed. A shockwave rippled through the clearing, throwing me to my knees. The mist turned black, tendrils wrapping around the trees, the ground, even us. Kale roared, rushing to stand beside me, but the force was unlike anything I had ever felt. The bond screamed in my mind, warning me, pleading with me to hold on, and then I saw it impossible. Terrifying, a vision, a glimpse of a future I hadn't known existed. Kale alone, the pack in ruins, and me. Taken away, powerless, our bond shattered before it could even be fully claimed. I gasped, fear and determination warring inside me. No, I whispered. This isn't happening. Not like this. Kale's hand found mine, holding me steady. It doesn't have to, he said, voice low, fierce. We decide how this ends. But you have to trust me. And yourself. Before I could respond, the shadows surged forward, the red-eyed figure stepping fully into the clearing. The air grew electric, every hair on my arm standing on end. The rogue alpha and the stranger formed a circle around us, eyes locked, waiting, ready. The forest seemed to tense with anticipation, as if holding its breath for what was about to happen. I gripped Kale's hand tighter, feeling the bond thrum violently under my skin. Whatever came next, there was no turning back. The truth had been revealed, the danger had escalated. And the choice I made now could change everything, not just for me. Not just for Kale, but for the pack, for our future. And for the bond that had survived betrayal and fate itself. And then, in a whisper that carried through the mist like a promise or a curse, the stranger said, "Choose wisely, Luna. Because once you do, there is no undoing it." I looked at Kale, and in his eyes I saw the same fear, the same defiance, the same hope I felt in my own heart. The night had turned, and the storm of destiny was upon us. The shadows pressed closer, curling around us like living things. The red-eyed figure's gaze burned into me, a weight I could feel in my chest, heavy and suffocating. Kale's grip on my hand was firm, steady, a lifeline in the chaos. But even his presence couldn't erase the storm roaring through my mind. This was it. The moment where everything trusts, destiny, love would be tested. You cannot defy what is written. Stranger hissed, voice echoing unnaturally through the clearing. The bond is not yours alone. It belongs to power greater than you can imagine. And you will either submit or everything you love will be lost. Fear hit me like a tidal wave, cold and unrelenting. My heart raced, not just with terror, but with the weight of choice. The bond, Kale, the pack, all of it was on the line. For a moment, I felt small, helpless. The air itself seemed to tremble, the mist thickening as if the forest were holding its breath. Waiting for my answer, Kale's amber eyes locked with mine. Luna, listen to me. The bond is ours. No one can take it from us unless we allow it. You are stronger than you realize. I need you to trust that Tand. Trust yourself. I swallowed hard, the reality of the moment crashing down on me. I could feel the power of the stranger, the danger radiating in every pulse of the clearing, but beneath it all, I felt the bond thrum, vibrant and alive, connecting me to Kale in a way that was more than instinct or choice. It was destiny, but ours to claim if we dared. The stranger raised a hand, and the mist surged like a wave, threatening to separate us. My fear clawed at me, begging me to let go, to step back, to surrender to what the figure demanded. But love refused. The bond flared in response, warning me, guiding me. I clenched Kale's hand tighter, feeling the pulse of courage beneath the fear. No, I said, voice steady even as my heart pounded. We decide our path, not you, not fate, not anyone us. Kale's eyes softened, and a flicker of hope shone in them. Together, he said, echoing my words, and for the first time, the bond seemed to respond with a light of its own, almost tangible in the misty air around us. The stranger's face twisted, a mixture of anger and disbelief. You dare defy what cannot be defied. I didn't answer with words. I answered with resolve. I stepped forward, drawing every ounce of courage I had. Every lesson I had learned as a Luna. Every moment I had spent fighting for this bond. For him. For us. The mist swirled violently, tendrils reaching for me, but the bond held, wrapping around Kale and me like a shield. And then it happened. A pulse of energy, a surge of the bond erupted outward. The stranger staggered back, caught off guard by the sheer force of the connection between us. Kale's strength combined with mine, our hearts beating in unison, and for the first time, I realized just how powerful we were together. The forest seemed to lean in, the wind echoing our triumph as the shadows began to retreat. Curling back into the trees, the stranger's voice cut through the haze one last time, sharp and cold. This isn't over. Fate will return, and it will claim what is its own. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the tension broke. The clearing fell silent. The mist dissipated, leaving the forest quiet except for the soft rustle of leaves. I sank to my knees, exhausted, trembling from adrenaline and fear and relief. Kale knelt beside me, his hand still holding mine, his presence steadying me in a way nothing else could. We did it, I whispered, disbelief and awe warring in my chest. We stopped it. Kale shook his head gently. No, we survived it. But the warning, it's real. Someone or something will try again. The bond will always attract danger. But we can face it together. I nodded, leaning against him, letting the warmth of his presence fill the cracks that fear and betrayal had left in me. The bond pulsed softly now, a steady heartbeat in the aftermath. A reminder that even in darkness, we were stronger together. But I couldn't ignore the truth. The rogue alpha, the stranger, the warning they weren't gone, and the sense of foreboding lingered heavy in the air. The forest, though calm now, still seemed to watch us, waiting for the next chapter, the next test. I lifted my gaze to Kale. I'm not afraid, I said, my voice firmer now, though my heart still thumped from the encounter. Whatever comes next, we face it as one. I won't let fate or anyone take this from us. Kale's eyes glimmered, a mixture of pride and deep unspoken love. Neither will I, Luna. This bond, it's ours, always. The forest exhaled around us. The shadows receded. And yet deep in the distance I thought I heard a low, haunting growl carried on the wind. Faint, but unmistakable. A reminder that the storm was not truly over. That danger and destiny were still circling, waiting for the moment to strike again. But for now, we had survived. For now, the bond had won. For now, we had each other. And in that fragile victory, in that quiet moment of triumph and fear, I knew that the night had changed us forever. We were no longer the same Luna and Alpha who had entered the forest hours ago. We were stronger, unbreakable, united by choice, love. And the undeniable pull of destiny we refused to surrender. Yet as I looked toward the darkened horizon, a single thought clawed at me. The true test wasn't over. It was coming. And when it arrived, we would be ready. The forest was quiet now. The mist had lifted, leaving the moon to shine unhindered, painting silver patterns across the ground. The echoes of the night's chaos had faded, replaced by a stillness that felt almost sacred. I stood beside Cale, feeling the warmth of his presence, the steady pulse of the bond that had carried us through danger, betrayal, and uncertainty. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The events of the night weighed heavily on my chest, the threat of the rival Alpha. The red-eyed stranger, the terrifying vision of a future where I had lost everything. And yet, for all the fear and uncertainty, something had changed. The bond between Cale and me was no longer fragile or tentative. It was solid, unshakable. A force that had survived the most impossible test. I can't believe we made it. I whispered, my voice trembling with exhaustion and relief. Cale's hand found mine, fingers entwining naturally. Like they had always been meant to fit together. You did more than make it, Cale said, his amber eyes softening with a warmth I hadn't seen in weeks. You stood. You fought. You chose to face fear, danger, and destiny. You didn't run. Not once. I let out a shaky laugh, the sound mingling with the soft rustle of leaves. I wasn't sure I'd be brave enough. Bravery isn't the absence of fear, he said. It's moving forward despite it. And Luna, you've proven that tonight. The forest seemed to lean closer, the trees and shadows no longer threatening, but protective, almost reverent. The bond pulsed gently beneath my skin, a reminder of what we had survived and what we had claimed for ourselves. For the first time, I felt truly grounded, as if the weight of the past and the looming uncertainty of fate had finally been lifted, if only slightly. I used to think destiny was something that controlled us, I admitted, glancing at him. Something we couldn't escape, no matter how hard we tried. But I see now that destiny is more than that. It's the choices we make, the courage we summon, the people we refuse to let go of. Cale's lips curved into the faintest smile, a mixture of pride and quiet emotion. Then we've both learned that lesson. And we've claimed our bond not because fate allowed it, but because we fought for it together. I leaned closer, resting my forehead against his, feeling the steady pulse of the bond, the gentle strength of him beside me. In that moment, I realized just how much we had changed. I was no longer the uncertain Luna who had followed fear and betrayal into the forest. I was stronger, wiser, and more certain of myself than ever before. And Cale, he had been tempered by the night, his protective instincts sharpened, his heart more open, more trusting. We faced so much, I murmured, and yet it feels like a beginning, not an end. Cale nodded, eyes scanning the forest, the horizon beyond, as if preparing for whatever challenges might still come. It is a beginning, he said. A chance to rebuild, to lead, and to live without fear. To honor the bond we shared, to protect it from everything that would try to take it from us. I felt a sense of peace settle over me, a quiet triumph that went beyond survival. The danger wasn't gonna know. That would be impossible, but the fear had shifted. It was no longer a shadow looming over me. It was a reminder of what we had endured, what we had fought for, and what we had gained, a love tested by fire and shadow. A bond that had proven stronger than threats, betrayal, and fate itself. As we walked back through the clearing, the moonlight guiding our steps, I thought of the path that had brought me here, the heartbreak of loss, the terror of the unknown, the moments of doubt and hesitation. Each step had shaped me, forged me, and reminded me that power wasn't just in the supernatural, the titles, or the bond itself. It was in the choices we made when everything seemed lost. I glanced at Cale, and for the first time in weeks, I allowed myself to truly smile. "Whatever comes next," I said softly, "I know we can face it together." He squeezed my hand, amber eyes reflecting the silver moonlight. "Together," he repeated, and I believed it with every fiber of my being. The night was still, the forest calm, and the bond thrummed steadily beneath my skin. I knew the threats would return someday, that the shadows would rise again, and that destiny might still test us. But for now, for this moment, we had won. And in that victory, I understood something I had never fully grasped before: courage. Love and loyalty were stronger than any prophecy, any power, any danger. As we stepped out of the clearing, the first light of dawn breaking on the horizon, I felt a sense of renewal wash over me. The Luna who had been uncertain, scared, and betrayed was gone. In her place was a Luna who had faced the storm, reclaimed her bond, and embraced her destiny on her own terms. Dawn, and beside me, Cale, my alpha, my mate, my second chance, walked with me not as a protector, but as a partner, equal and unwavering, ready to face the future together. The forest whispered its approval. The wind carried our bond forward, and for the first time in a long time, I believed in the promise of tomorrow, because some bonds, once tested, are unbreakable. Some love, once claimed, endures everything. And some Luna will rise, defy fate, and finally find the home her heart has always longed for.